Hi there, welcome back to Cogent English. Today I'm here with the 16th poetry, Obituary, written by AK Ramanujan. As usual, don't forget to watch till the end of this video because I will definitely add some of the most important MCQs from the poetry, Obituary. So let's get started. Ramanujan's poetry is a depiction of human sentiments, feelings, and emotions in direct way without any gloss or sophistication. There are no traces of alien influences on his poetry in spite of his long stay abroad. Ramanujan's poems have a technical perfection which is an exemplary. His poetry is never pedantic or verbose and is written in a language which is very crisp, intense, and casual. Ramanujan has laid equal stress on the meaning as well as the design of each poem. The designer poems of Ramanujan are not only a treat to the eye but also indicate a multi-layered meaning. To identify the central theme of Ramanujan's poems, one has to proceed casually with patience and imagination. Ramanujan's poetry has brought many laurels to him. The volumes of his poetry, The Striders 1966, Relations 1971, and Selected Poems 1976, have been praised by the literary critics for the succinct expression and originality. The poetry of Ramanujan is like a mirror in which one can see the face of Indian tradition along with a host of other things. His poetry recognized the vitality inherent in Indian culture and tradition, and also the changes which have taken place in the structure of Indian society. Ramanujan's poem, Self-Portrait, shows his excellent grasp over the use of images to depict the experiences and emotions in his poetry. Ramanujan's poetry reflects his deep insight into the cultural patterns of both East and West. The ancient wisdom of India gains a new relevance in the poetry of Ramanujan amidst the conflicts in the present world. He has analyzed the human situation through the combined vision of the East and West. The Indian perspective and experience towards the human problems finds a prominent place in the poetry of Ramanujan. About the author, the poet was born and brought up in a Hindu family and later he went abroad. So, his self was formed with the host of incidents from the past or the memories of a life to which he belonged to at his past. Okay, here is our poetry Obituary. Father, when he passed on, left dust on a table of papers, left debts and daughters, a bedwetting grandson named by the toss of a coin after him, a house that leaned slowly through our growing years on a bent coconut tree in the yard. Being the burning type, he burned properly at the cremation.
So the poetry goes like this.
So let us go through the analysis of the poem Obituary. The poem Obituary was written by AK Ramanujan. An obituary is usually a tribute to the person who has passed away and featuring the high points of his life. Such is not the case in this poem. Written in first person point of view, the son is the narrator of the poem. Seeming quite disgruntled with his father, the son points out all of the things his father left undone. His bills were unpaid, and he left unmarried daughters. His grandson, a bedwetter, was named after the grandfather, but improperly. The house in which the narrator grew up leaned against a tree. Apparently, the father had a hot temper, which may be part of the son's unhappiness. Being the burning type, he burned properly at the cremation. When the father was cremated, coins were placed on the body's eyes. In keeping with the Hindu custom of a swift cremation, bodies are cremated within 24 hours. After the cremation, the sons dug through the ashes to find hot coals to throw in an eastward fashion into the river. The father would have no headstone with the dates of his birth and death. To the son, the dates are parentheses, encapsulating the time of the father's life. From his birth to his death, the son feels that his father did many things incorrectly or incompletely. Like his Caesarean birth in a Brahmin ghetto and his death by heart failure in the fruit market, he hears that his father's obituary took 2 lines in a local newspaper for weeks after his cremation. The son often bought sugar cane placed in one of these newspapers, shaped like a corn. In the beginning, the son says that he looks for the paper for fun, and then he says he would like to have the obituary. In newspaper corns that I usually read for fun, and lately in the hope of finding these obituary lines. Since the narrator is the oldest son, he will be responsible for any ancient rituals that the culture requires. There is a little mourning when a Hindu dies because they believe that once a person is born, he or she never dies. Often there is little crying. The son does not show any strong feeling for the father's death, which may be due to the Hindu custom or his irritation with his father. Now, everything is different. Understandably, the mother is changed. Her husband has died, despite the displeasure with his father voiced by the narrator. He still respectfully wants to have the paper with the father's obituary. The poem Obituary by AK Ramanujan is a literary work that has the author in the poem waxing nostalgic about a father's life and death. It is a vivid, emotional, and intense poem that looks back on the life and times of a dear loved family member. The author relates that the father left behind a legacy that will live on for him, left debts and daughters and a bedwetting grandson named by the toss of a coin after him. The author reflects that this man was cremated and disappeared all too easily from this physical existence. He alludes to the transience of life and the pain those left behind experience in a patriarchy's absence. Author muses about the physical remnants left behind from the father's cremation. Eye coins in the ashes and several spinal discs. This is the only tangible evidence of the man left behind. This is the only tangible evidence of the man left behind, and this is painful to the family. Essentially, the poem deals with our brief time on this planet and what we accomplish and ultimately leave to posterity. The poem also reflects on the dignified way the family is encouraged to honor the deceased family member as they are to throw his remains to the east, where there are 3 rivers that congregate by a railroad station. The poem is vivid as it reflects on the father's past life in a Brahmin ghetto and his death due to heart failure. The reader learns that the man died suddenly while at a fruit market. The author reflects on how the father's life has been reduced to a two-line snippet in a obituary, and how the death of man changed the mother significantly, and how each year they have the ritual of honoring and remembering this beloved man. The poem Obituary, in this regard, is a significant example of Ramanujan's poetry. This poem is a comic serious evaluation of dead father. The central irony in the poem stems not only from its overall ironic tone, but also from the fact that there are two obituaries in the poem, the one published in the newspaper as a routine matter of personal history, and the other the aesthetic recreation. The poet estimates in this poem what his father meant when he was alive and what he adds up to now that he is dead. The poem is of an intensively personal emotion that the death of the father is neutralized by the continuing link with the father, the changed mother. And he left us a changed mother and more than one annual ritual. Obituary has been written on the death of whom? Poet's father. What is the meaning of the word obituary? Notice of death in a newspaper. How many stanzas are there in the poem Obituary? 8 stanza. Question number 4. He left us a changed dash and more than one annual ritual. He left us changed dash mother. When poet's father died, what he left? Debts and daughters. How his father died? Due to heart failure. Obituary is published in which year? 1971. 1971. Question number 8. He received Sahitya Academy Award in which year? 1999. Question number 9. Obituary published in the collection of dash. Relations. Question number 10. What is the tone of the poem? Mock ironic. Question number 11. What are the legacies the father left behind? Debts, daughters, and bedwetting grandson. Which newspaper is mentioned in the poem? Madras newspaper. Who is the narrator of the poem Obituary? The son. For what work did Ramanujan get Sahitya Academy Award? Collected poems. Question number 19. How many languages are known by AK Ramanujan? 5. And his death by heart failure in fruit market. Question number 21. Who is the bedwetter in the poem? Grandson. The speaker's father didn't have dash after his death. Headstone. Question number 23. Speaker's father was born in Brahmin Ghetto, which is Ramanujan's first collection of poems. The Striders. In the poem Obituary, what item do the son buy from the grocery shop? Salt, coriander, jaggery. The literary device consistently used in the poem of AK Ramanujan.
Answer is irony.